So, who was gonna tell me that Rival Academies is the coolest Pathfinder book we've gotten in like 2 years? Hello? Howdy, my name is Nonat, and finally, after some weird 5-month haze that I can't quite remember what I was doing, I finally sat down and looked at one of Pathfinder 2nd Edition's newest releases, Rival Academies, and it's a Lost Omens book. If you've been following the game for its lifespan, you know Lost Omens books tend to cover mostly the lore of the world, expanding on some lesser-known areas of Galarian and the Inner Sea region, and then at the end of chapters tend to add in a little bit of mechanical stuff. You know, a new archetype here and there, some new class feats if we're lucky, maybe some magic items and consumables. And Rival Academies is no different, but oh my god. I don't know what Paizo was cooking, but it smells good, and let me tell you, I almost guarantee it's gonna taste good when you play it. This metaphor is getting weird. Almost every single archetype in this book is an absolute banger that I will be covering here on the channel. So welcome to my first of multiple archetype guides for Rival Academies. Today, I gotta start with possibly one of the best ones first. I've still got some more favorite stuff in here, but it might not technically be an archetype. Stick around for that later this week. But we have to start with just the most flavorful, crazy archetype I've seen in a while, the Lepidstadt Surgeon, which might mean absolutely nothing to you by name alone, and that's fine. This is, like most Lost Omens books, a lore-based, a region-based archetype, but let me tell you, you don't need to know the lore to get inspired on how to make a character around it. Have you ever seen a tiny little indie film known as Frankenstein? Sit down, get cozy. Let's talk about this archetype in detail. Also, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'm making Pathfinder 2e content with possibly some content about other TTRPGs on the way. I also stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/nonat1. So if you'd like to come on over there, I'm streaming right when this video goes live. So if you want to pause this and watch it later, I'm actually live over there right now playing some Legend of Zelda: The Majora's Mask. I don't do 2 takes. Keep it going. So as usual with Pathfinder's lore-focused archetypes, technically one of the prerequisites is attended the University of Lepidstadt. What the beautiful thing about TTRPGs is your table can go, I don't know what that is. Go away. Basically, it just means you attended a school where you learned science. Medical science. Legal. Medical. And as such, you also need to be trained in medicine. Just by taking this archetype, it bumps your medicine up to expert proficiency right at level 2, which is already fantastic. But on top of that, it upgrades your stabilize action, which is something I haven't seen a whole lot of archetypes and class feats do throughout the system. Not giving you a new action, but upgrading an existing action. I think that's a whole realm of game design that Pathfinder 2e has not touched much yet. So how does it upgrade it? Well, normally when you stabilize a creature, it just sets them to 0 hit points. It does not bring them up. They are just stable, no longer dying, no longer making recovery checks. However, for a Lepidstadt Surgeon, when they successfully stabilize a creature, they also restore 2d8 hit points, with the only caveat being you can only do this to a creature who has not gained the wounded condition. So basically it's the first time they went unconscious that day, or at least since getting rid of the wounded condition, you can stabilize them, which heals them the same amount as a treat wounds check. But remember that treat wounds takes 10 minutes, and stabilizing takes 2 actions. Also, the stabilized DC never gets higher unless your GM has a really good reason for it. It will always be 5 plus the recovery DC of the creature. So once your character level 3 or 4, you'll be able to hit that whatever DC 16 medicine check almost every single time. And once you're level 7, if you upgrade your medicine to master proficiency, you restore 2d8 plus 10. And then at level 15, when you're legendary, it becomes 2d8 plus 20. Just a free, resourceless heal for an ally the first time they go down. And the craziest part of all of this is that there's no cooldown. There's no refresh period. The only thing is they can't have the wounded condition. So obviously when you get your ally back up with this healing, they will gain the wounded condition. So if they go down again, you can't stabilize and heal them the same way. But every single one of your allies can all be stabilized and saved this way, all in one combat. And then if you have 10 minutes to treat wounds afterwards, the wounded condition goes away. If you're going to treat wounds anyway, you can do this every single combat encounter for every single ally. As a reminder, this is a level 2 feat. And we're not done yet. The other option for administering first aid to help stop bleeding is also upgraded, because if you succeed that medicine check, then not only do they get the lower DC on the next chance to remove persistent damage, they also get to roll it twice and take the highest result. That's advantage. You're reducing the DC and giving advantage on the next chance to remove that bleeding. This on a level 2 dedication is crazy. There are so many dedications out there throughout this system that feel like they are not worth a class feat and only worth it with the free archetype system. This is one of those rare occasions where even without free archetype, at level 2, this feels incredible. But let's keep going and see what more the archetype can do for us. At level 4, Enlightening Life. Is that like a pun on an enlightening life? I feel like there's a pun there. Paizo, are you making puns? You have installed a mini station coil into your healer's toolkit. And for one action, once per 10 minutes, you can walk up to your ally and go, hey, hey. Zzz. When you do so, as long as the target is willing or unconscious, they gain 2d4 temporary hit points for 1 minute. Interestingly, because it says you can use this on an unconscious target, I don't actually know how that interacts. I've never thought about the idea of an unconscious character gaining temporary hit points, but not having any normal hit points. All it says when you're unconscious is you wake up if you have more than 1 hit point. So does a temporary hit point count as a hit point? And if you don't get any healing within that minute and they go away, do you just fall unconscious again? In 5 years playing this game, I've never actually thought about this interaction. Let me know in the comments what you think how this should be ruled, or if there is a rules as written thing that I'm just missing. Personally, I'd rule it as you do get up, but if the temporary hit points disappear, you're back at 0. They may be temporary hit points, but they are still categorically hit points. The temporary hit points this grants goes up by 1d4 every 4 levels, so it's never going to be a crazy amount of health. I mean, level 12 to heal for 4d4 isn't great, but it's one action. No resource per 10 minutes. This is just, even at level 4, 2d4 temporary hit points for an ally once per combat. That's fantastic. And the hilarious caveat, which makes sense, is if a creature is immune to lightning or electricity, they're immune to this effect, which is just funny to me. The final caveat for this is each individual target has a 24-hour cooldown. Once you have used Enlightening Life on a creature, that creature cannot be Enlightening Lifed again for 24 hours. It's just hilarious that you actually have a full-on, just janky fantasy world defibrillator that you can just tase your allies with once per combat to either give them a buffer of hit points or potentially wake them up from being unconscious. And if you're already next to an unconscious person, you've already got an incredible combo right there. Let's say they're at whatever, dying 2-0 hit points. You can stabilize them, which heals them for 2d8, which only took 2 of your actions, and for your third action, Enlightening Life, for another 2d4 temporary hit points. On average, you just put them, what, like 12 hit points back in the fight? That's not bad. But of course, it's hard to recommend taking that feat when the other level 4 archetype feat is what everyone takes this for. Rise, my creature. The first 4 words describe it best. You have created life. It's alive! What a classic quote from Robot Chicken. You gain a prototype construct companion. Just like the inventor can get at level 1 from their subclass, you can get it at level 4 from this archetype. And incredibly, because it's made of stitched together flesh and corpses, you can repair it with medicine instead of crafting. Yay, science. The other two bits of information about this feat are just really funny to me. Because your creature is sort of like not alive, or it's not even undead, I guess it's technically alive, it's stimulated by electricity is what I'm trying to say. Electricity runs through it, which is what allows it to move. If it ever takes electric damage, it actually gets a +1 circumstance bonus to athletics checks until the end of its next turn. That's weird. I'm about to pedantic all over this, but they don't get turns. Companions don't get turns. Wait a second. They should say your next turn. Additionally, other Lepidstadt surgeons and people with similar training can tell that your companion is not undead. It's not a zombie. It's just stitched corpse pieces that can move. There's a difference. This is science. That's heathenism. Most people can tell that it is not true undead with a simple DC 15 recall knowledge check. So this is a nice little out that if you walk into a Sarenrae temple, people won't immediately kill you on sight, because most of them can passively tell, oh, that's not undead, it's just uncomfortable. Artery Map. This is a level 6 feat that gives you a sort of pseudo sneak attack in a really cool way. If you strike a creature that is off guard with a weapon in the knife weapon group, you can target their arteries specifically, and just by hitting them, they take 1d6 persistent bleed. Not on a crit, not after failing a saving throw. If you hit an off-guard creature, they bleed. Now, this doesn't scale up. It's never going to be a ton, but that's just 1d6 persistent bleed. If you have 3 off-guard enemies around you and you hit all of them, they're all bleeding every single turn. And if it goes away, guess what? Hit them again. By the way, you can take this archetype on a rogue who will then get sneak attack and artery map. I love it. And at level 15, if you bump medicine up to legendary, it becomes D10 persistent bleed. It's not a whole lot more. At level 15, it's negligible, but it's still great. Alternatively, the other feat at level 6 is just an upgrade to make your prototype construct companion into an advanced construct companion. This is the upgrade that gives it a few bonuses, as well as lets it take 1 action on a turn, even if you didn't command it. I do like that this archetype has sort of given you 2 paths through it. There is the Mad Doctor path with Artery Map, and then there's the Frankenstein path, where you just have a construct companion. Sure, it works almost identically to the Inventor one without the innovations, that's the word, but flavor-wise, it's still really cool. It's a messed up fun fact. Fun fact. Did you know that the Lepidstadt surgeon's construct companions can retain vague memories of the corpses they're stitched from? They even go on to say that the right piece of music or other kind of stimuli could move your construct to tears. Sad. What the fuck? So level 7 actually grants us a skill feat, which, as a reminder, if an archetype offers a feat with the skill trait, then that actually means on an odd level, you don't have to spend a class feat for this, you can spend a skill feat. Beautiful knife work. By spending 10 minutes, and if you're a master in medicine, you can physically disguise your ally or your construct companion. This works mechanically the same way as applying a disguise kit. Except you roll medicine to perform surgery and physically warp their appearance. The DC to see through this is your medicine DC. I'm actually a little bit sick talking about this, oh my god. And if your altered party member tries to impersonate somebody and talks to an NPC, they get a +2 circumstance bonus to their deception check. The good news is you can reverse this with another 10-minute surgery. Just ignore the scars. Additionally, just for the sake of mechanical freedom and ease of access, you can actually end it with a free action if you ever receive any corn? If the target receives any form of healing. That is one of the most disturbing feats in all of Pathfinder, and I love it. Come, we infiltrate King's Court. It will not hurt much. Maybe you could learn to forgive. No. And at level 8, behold my creation, it's just another simple companion upgrade, making it an incredible construct companion. The flavor text is fun though. The other level 8 feat, Station Charge, upgrades your bzz bzz. Now, when you grant someone temporary hit points with your bzz bzz, they are also quickened until the end of their next turn, and can use that extra action to stride or strike. That's absolutely incredible. Once per day, 1 turn quicken plus temporary hit points on all of your allies once per day, that's... damn, I love this archetype. What? Okay, level 12, I was ready for a meme feat. It's called Stand Back, I'm a Doctor. Haha, silly. This is one of the strongest feats in Pathfinder 2e. What? For 2 actions, if you have your healer's tools and a hand free and someone has the dying condition next to you, then for 2 actions, you can make a standard difficulty medicine check for the creature's level. If they're your ally, that's just a normal average difficulty for your level. Those can usually be 1 with like a 12 or 13 on the die, especially if you have a focus in the skill you're using. If you succeed this skill check, it reduces their dying condition by 1 or 2 on a crit success. So you're probably not going to crit very often, but keep this in mind. This means it doesn't automatically bring them back, it just lowers their dying condition. That doesn't sound incredible. But if you reduce their dying condition to 0 using this action, not only do they heal for 2d8 plus 10, but they can also stand as a free action. And they don't gain the wounded condition. I'd like to say that again, they do not gain the wounded condition. You know, the thing that makes it hard and scary to go unconscious again and get back up, and go unconscious and get back up. On top of that, let's say they're still next to the creature that downed them. Then if that creature does not choose to take a free step action away from them, they get a basic reflex save against 8d6 electric damage as it shocks the area around them, and this doesn't shock you. If this dealt half the 8d6 damage to the Lepidstadt surgeon, it would still be a great feat. This is incredible. This is one of the only ways in Pathfinder 2e to get somebody back up without increasing wounded. That is so rare. Like, sure, it's 2 actions, and it's not a guaranteed thing. They have to specifically be dying 1. But the way that dying works, as long as they weren't dropped by a crit, which granted half the time when you go down in PF2 it's from a crit, but still, if you can set up where they're at dying 1 and you can step up on them, you can stand back, I'm a doctor. And oh no, they're dying 2 or God forbid dying 3. Cool, just hit them with your zzz or stabilize them and they're gonna heal anyway and they'll get the wounded condition that way, but that's fine. That's insane! Long story short, this is a very good feat for keeping your party members in the fight and not penalizing them for going down multiple times. As long as you've got something like a champion on the front lines who isn't taking critical hits too terribly often, even if they keep going down, as long as you can keep doing stand back, I'm a doctor, they can keep tanking those hits for you. Good job, Paizo. And level 14, it's what you'd expect. Unfortunately, it just makes your companion into a paragon. Like, what else could it be? You know, all of the different animal and construct companion feats follow a very specific linear progression, which is by design. But the good thing about this archetype is, if you really want to go all in on it, even if you've been following all of the doctor feats and not the companion feats, after level 12, you've got enough levels left to take all 4 of the companion feats. So you can be a full-on medical doc up to level 12, or even picking up some companion feats along the way on dead levels like level 10, and you can get all of these feats because they're all great feats. This is a rare archetype where I think every single feat is worth taking on the same character. There's people who are only going to want the doctor feats, there's people who are only going to want the construct feats. That's fine, but you would not be making a quote-unquote poor choice by taking every single one. This is one of the best archetypes Paizo has ever designed, and I think this is perfectly on the power level of what an archetype should be. Never as strong as full class features, you know, the artery map is not the same as a sneak attack bonus, but damn does it just feel good. 10 out of 10 Paizo would make Frankenstein out of my allies again. And yeah, think of it that way. If any of your party members ever die, you can mutilate their corpse and add it to your construct companion. Friends forever!